We are pleased this evening to have Reverend David Hazeltine from the Big Beaver Methodist Church with us to lead us in the invocation. If you would please rise for that and then remain standing when I call up the students for the Pledge of Allegiance. Good evening, Reverend.
Good evening. Let's be in prayer. We recognize we are one nation under God, so we recognize God's presence with us here tonight. We're thankful to God for this country we live in, the freedoms we enjoy, for the state of Michigan and for the city of Troy. And we ask God's blessings upon those who serve this community in elected capacity, as well as so many others that volunteer and work for this great community. So we ask your blessings, your guidance on this meeting tonight, and for those citizens that are struggling, that are mourning, may they experience your power and your grace in their lives. So bless this time together, O Lord, we pray in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend. If we could please welcome the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade student council for the Ellen Bernard Elementary School, and with them is teachers Sarah Carrico and Stephanie Guten. Whenever you're ready.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. It's always nice to have the kids come and participate in our our city council, and especially the student council. Troy City Council meeting is now called to order. The roll call, Ms. Dixon.
Mayor Slater?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Campbell?
Here.
Councilmember Gottlieb?
Here.
Councilmember Henderson?
Here.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Here.
Councilmember Pennington?
Here.
Councilmember Teets?
Here.
All present. Our first order of business this evening is certificates of recognition and special presentations. C1 is a certificate of appreciation to Troy Athens Student Council for raising more than $57,000 during Charity Week for Wish Upon a Teen. And if I could meet the Athens students at the podium, I'd like to present a proclamation to them. I know Principal Laura Dixon is here this evening. Did you want to come up here with the students?
I will let them take the honor.
Okay. Come on up close to me so we can get you all on camera here if you could. The advisor is one of the most important people to this, right? Well, it's really a privilege and an honor for me to be here tonight to present the proclamation in recognition of Athens High School 2014-15 Student Congress. And if I could, I think it's very important that I read this because it just goes to show you how good students are and what they can do much better than us adults can do, for sure, especially when it comes to raising money. So whereas the Athens High School Student Congress is a very active and dedicated group of 51 students and 2 advisors committed to giving back to their community as well as the region. And whereas each year the Athens High School Congress puts in countless hours as well as blood, sweat and tears to help a charity of their choice during Charity Week. And whereas the Athens High School Student Congress selected Wish Upon a Teen, a nonprofit organization that provides resources and opportunities to teens dealing with autism spectrum disease and or recovering from an injury or chronic illness. And whereas this year the Athens High Student Congress gave back in a way that many teens and even most adults could not do by organizing a full week of activities, including skating parties, penny wars. What's that? Okay. Restaurant nights, magic show, film festival, cook-off, and free throw contest at the Athens versus Troy High boys basketball game, Mr. Athens pageant. Did you win? No. T-shirt sales, dance, and much more. And whereas Athens Student Congress raised over $57,000 this year for Wish Upon a Teen, they also raised more than $56,000 in 2014 for Desert Angels, more than $40,800 in 2013 for Angels of Hope, more than $35,000 in 2012 for I've Got Your Back, and $34,000 in 2011 for Believe in Miracles. That's very impressive. And whereas the Student Congress generates excitement throughout the school's 1,600 students as well as within the community, Congress meetings take place prior to school starting, and after a full day of classes, members stay after school to count pennies, sell shirts, run the events, and then go home to complete their homework. There's not a lot of sleep for Congress members during Charity Week. That's pretty obvious. And whereas students find out how much money they raised at the Friday PEP Assembly and then celebrate their accomplishments with a final fundraiser dance that evening. So now, therefore, it be resolved that Detroit City Council extends special recognition to the Athens High School Student Congress for their selfless and tireless service and dedication to so many worthwhile organizations over the years. And be it further resolved that the Troy City Council and all the Troy residents congratulate the Athens Student Congress for being a shining example of how to give back to the community as well as the region, and wish them continued success in all of their future endeavors. It's presented on this 23rd day of March 2015, signed by myself and all members of City Council. Congratulations, students, and thank you so much for what you do for our community. Congratulations. Wait a minute. Councilman Gottlieb, I'm sure you know many of those students.
Yes.
C2 is the Troy Community Coalition Year in Review with a presentation by Nancy Morrison, the Executive Director of Troy Community Coalition. Good evening, Nancy.
Good evening, Mayor Slater, council members, and City of Troy employees. I appreciate the opportunity to be here this evening and provide you with the year in review. Every year we visit alcohol and tobacco retailers in Troy, and we provide them with educational material which will help them prevent the sales of tobacco and alcohol to minors. Every year, we host our Celebrity Night Dinner. This year, it will be held October 22nd at the San Marino Club. We always start off with silent auction items, hors d'oeuvres, dinner, and entertainment, and this is our biggest fundraiser of the year. Choose Wisely is our 4th grade prevention program. We partner with the Troy Police Department on this prevention program, and we reach close to 900 children every year, and it is enthusiastically received every year. We hold 4 coalition meetings every year. It is open to the public, our meetings, and we educate the public on current drug trends. It's never too early to start educating on prevention, so we have a preschool prevention program called Do So, or Discovering Understanding of Self and Others. When we talk about the importance of a healthy body, about getting exercise, eating healthy, and getting plenty of rest. Family Day is a national day that the coalition has participated for many years. We partner with different restaurants and stores because research was showing us that the more you sit down and have dinner with your family and hold a discussion or conversation, then your children are less likely to abuse drugs and alcohol. So as you can see, numerous stores and restaurants provide discounts so people can go out and eat or cook at home. The hookah has been a major issue for us this past year. We partnered with the city attorney, the police department, and then we also partnered with Beaumont to put on a town hall public forum so we could educate the public on the hazards of the hookah. We just held our 14th annual Incredible Kid Recognition. We honored 47 children from the community that they were nominated by adults in the community. And we started this program because research was showing us that when children feel they are part of a healthy community and that adults care about them, then they are less likely to abuse drugs and alcohol. Every year, we put on a conference. We partner with other organizations to educate professionals in treatment and prevention. And each year, we bring in different keynote speakers to address the issues of drug, alcohol, and tobacco. Medical marijuana was a big issue for us. We partnered with the different coalitions, the 15 coalitions in Oakland County, and we brought in a national expert. We had a dozen people from each coalition in attendance. We educated ourselves, and then we came back to our communities and went to different organizations and presented the information that we learned. Parents Who Host Lose the Most. This is a program that we initiate every year before prom and graduation season. Chief Mayor puts this fact card with information on the legalities of hosting a teen party in letters that go out to all the parents who have a graduating high school senior. Prayer Breakfast. We'll be hosting our 21st annual Friday, May 1st, 7:30 a.m. at St. Nick's. So I'm hoping a lot of you will be able to participate or attend this year. It is open to the public. Every year we have a different keynote and different music and, of course, different prayer givers. And the reason we host Prayer Breakfast is because we realize that when individuals are a part of a church or a synagogue or a house of worship, then they get support from that community and they're less likely to abuse drugs and alcohol. Project Sticker Shock is another program that we initiate every year before prom and graduation season. We utilize our teens in the community and adult supervisors, and we go to the alcohol retailers in Troy, and we adhere these bright orange stickers to the multi-packs of alcohol. And the stickers say about the information regarding the penalties if you do provide alcohol to minors. Part of the coalition strategic plan was to reduce prescription drug abuse, so we partnered with Judge Hardig and the Clausen Coalition, the police department, of course the city, to put on this town hall to educate the public on the dangers of prescription drugs that can lead to heroin use. And then in a joint effort between the police department and the coalition, we had prescription lock boxes available, so individuals could lock up their prescription drugs. And at this point in time, we have sold approximately 150, so they can keep the prescriptions out of the wrong hands. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens is a leadership training, and we've been putting on this training for approximately 16 years. We know that when the individuals utilize the techniques that we teach them, then they can be successful in all areas of their life. We see an increase in their self-esteem, and they're less likely to abuse drugs and alcohol. So far this year, we have put on 5 different 7 Habits trainings. Spring Break Troy Style was initiated 10 years ago because a lot of our youth were telling us that there was nothing to do in Troy. So we partnered with different business and restaurants to provide a wide variety of activities and food discounts so the children, the students, can attend a variety of different activities during the week of spring break and keep themselves out of trouble. And this includes middle school and high school students in the Troy Public Schools. So every student is given a brochure with the different activities. This will be our 21st annual summer camp. It was started due to juvenile delinquent behavior at an apartment complex in the summer. So we found a need in the community. We take these children on field trips, provide them with healthy lifestyle opportunities, prevention, education. Again, we have certainly found a need in this community for this camp. We utilize our Teens Taking Action members who are part of the Coalition's youth group to be involved in the Sinar tobacco inspections. So the teens are trained and then they attempt to buy tobacco products. And I'm pleased to say, majority of stores in Troy do not sell tobacco to minors. And we have found out that cities that do not have coalitions, they are more likely to sell tobacco to minors. And Tar Wars, we partner with Beaumont Hospital and the resident physicians to present this tobacco-free program to 5th graders to educate them on the hazards and dangers of tobacco. And they reach approximately 900 students every year with this prevention program. We greatly appreciate the funding that we receive from the city. Of course, it is less than what we have received in the past, but I ask that you please consider increasing our funding so we can continue our prevention efforts. So at this time, I would like to take any questions, if anybody has any questions for me.
Thank you, Nancy. Any questions for Nancy this evening?
Great job.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Please pass along to everyone our thanks for what you do for our community. Thank you.
Greatly appreciate that. Thanks.
Thank you. C3 is a presentation to congratulate Rick Greenwell, MSED, and Tim Davis, MSEC, Department of Public Works, on taking first and second place in the annual state-level Meter Madness competition sponsored by the American Water Works Association. I saw this clip this afternoon. It's very impressive. I see Tim Rishnick, the Public Works Director, here. So, Tim, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Mayor. It's appropriate that here in March we talk about Meter Madness. I'm going to introduce you Mike Schlegelman, who is the Division Supervisor for Water and Sewer. You know, he's been involved for over 20 years, just like Tom Izzo has, with a team of people who have gone and done extraordinary things. I'm going to step aside after a couple of moments and let Mike explain kind of what this is all about, and then we're going to see a short video. Tim Davis is just a recent employee, came to us, and we're just ecstatic to have him. Him and Rick Greenwell, I can tell you, as I walk down the hall every day, they say, hello, how are you doing today? These are two of the most pleasant people you will ever want to meet. And with that, I'm going to let Mike explain a little bit about what the process is and the state competition and where they go from here, and then we'll watch a little bit of video. So I'm going to step aside and let Mike handle it.
Well, thank you, Tim. In the interest of furthering education and training and a bit of fun, the American Water Works Association has created some contests for the association's members to compete in. Meter Madness, which is assembling a water meter. Tapping contest, which is simulating the service connection of a house from the water main into the house. And also, they have a new one now called Hydrant Hysteria, and that's assembling a fire hydrant. These are all timed events, and the first place finisher in the state level has their expenses paid to the national conference, which happens to be in Anaheim, California this year. So the Troy division has staff actively competing in all three of these contests, and keep in mind now that these guys are doing this on their own time, before work, after work, on their breaks, lunchtime, and maybe even at home. I know Rick practices at home. Maybe you do too, Tim. Okay. So like Tim said, Tim joined the water department 7 or 8 months ago and immediately took an interest in the Meter Madness contest, and with Rick's coaching and support and hard work, Tim has really come into being improving and doing well in this contest. So Rick has been competing in the Meter Madness for 3 years or so now, and every year getting better, progressively improving. Last year taking second place, and now this year taking first, becoming the 2015 Meter Madness champion. I want to note that Tim was able to compete first, and he was able to displace the reigning state champion by 3/100ths of a second, which is a really little bit of time. 3/100ths of a second. So now Tim had it clinched for the city of Troy and the state, and here's an interesting story of Rick's 12 hours before he competed. Now, Rick and his wife Kelly were heading up to Lansing for the contest, and on the way decided he needed a bag of honey roasted cashews. Well, not long after that, he found himself in the emergency room with an allergic reaction. So this is the night before. So they got him treated, took care of him, but they wanted to keep him for observation for the night. Kept him through the night. Morning came, still not released. Time's getting short on the competition opening. So he ends up getting out. He arrives noon or so, gets his mind straight and pulls himself together, gets clarity, and he comes in and he does 2 runs, and both of his runs were the fastest 2 of the day. So he actually had the fastest run of 46.75 seconds. And now that Rick has taken first place, Rick's travel expenses are going to be paid by the Michigan section AWWA. Now, according to the rules, Tim can go, but he has to pay his own way. And Tim has decided that he wants to go and go to the conference and vie for the national title along with Rick, represent the state of Michigan and the city of Troy.
All right.
Steve, can you play that video for us now?
All right, coming back in a little while. All right, see you.
Steady. He's putting a more or less standard water meter together. There are some parts from another brand of meter that don't belong to that one.
Different types of meters. I don't know what kind of meter he's getting.
Actually, every year a couple of sponsors.
You know what? 52. That's right. 200s. I can tell you're stumbling a little 37 coming out.
Well, I know that you guys did not receive a trophy at the Madness Contest in Lansing, so I wanted to make sure that you got a trophy to commemorate your victory. Second place finish.
All right.
And for you, Rick, the state champion, 46 seconds.
All right. Thank you, guys. Congratulations. We look forward to them doing this again next year. Right? Okay, thank you. Next is C4, Big Beaver Road, Big Beaver Zoning District. Presentation by Brent Savanon, Planning Director. Good evening, Brent. I saw this presentation. This is a good one. I look forward to it.
Well, thank you. I feel like I always have to follow something really exciting like Meter Madness. And it doesn't seem fair, but I'll do my best, Mr. Mayor, to meet your expectations. So item C4 was prepared to update City Council on development activity along Big Beaver Road and recent Planning Commission discussion related to Big Beaver Road. And we prepared a slideshow to provide background and context to this item. So slideshow, I call the slideshow Transforming Big Beaver Road. This isn't going to be very long. Don't let the title fool you here. Even though it starts in 1955, which 60 years ago this year, we're celebrating our 60-year anniversary. Here's an aerial photograph from 1963. This is the corner of Big Beaver. Anyone want to guess the intersection?
Crooks?
Crooks Road. Lucky guess, Mr. Mayor.
What a fix.
You brought your A game tonight.
It's like you remember it.
Notice Big Beaver Road is 2 lanes wide, as is Crooks. There's an office development here on the north side. Still residential homes, farmland. Really not a lot going on. Fast forward to 2000, and both Big Beaver's Boulevard at 6 lanes. Crooks is a 6-lane road. We see office, retail, 2 gas stations on the corner. And really what kind of defines Big Beaver, in modern day, we've got massive office buildings set back some distance from Big Beaver with huge parking fields in front of them. With really the buildings don't really have much of a relationship with Big Beaver, but the parking lots do. The automobile is clearly king. So following 2000, the Downtown Development Authority, City Council, staff, and our consultants worked on the Big Beaver Corridor Study, which defined a vision for Big Beaver. And it defined how we would transform Big Beaver into a world-class boulevard. And one of the concepts that was included in the document is this drawing, which demonstrates the relationship between the width of the right-of-way, which in most places is 204 feet, and the height of the buildings. And basically this concept, to create place and to create a sense of enclosure, the ideal ratio between the width and the height is 1 to 2 to 1 to 3, or that ratio. So with 204 feet, to create place, you need heights of 7 to 10 stories. There's also a building height plan in the document, and Big Beaver's Road is right here. And you'll notice it's got 10-story buildings fronting on Big Beaver, and it steps down in height as it gets away from Big Beaver. Also note the different colors. Red is retail, blue is office, green is residential, and yellow is parking. This is vertical mixed use. So what the document calls for is mixed use, height, and density along Big Beaver. We incorporated the Big Beaver Corridor Study into the master plan. I should have mentioned the Big Beaver Corridor Study was adopted in 2006. The master plan was adopted in 2008. And We're updating the master plan now. The Planning Commission has made a determination that the Big Beaver corridor study is still relevant. It's still valid after almost 10 years. In 2011, we implemented the vision of the corridor study and the vision of the master plan in the Big Beaver zoning ordinance. We created a Big Beaver form-based zoning district, which is basically a fancy way of saying that we're coding how Big Beaver is going to look, and specifically the relationship of the building to the street. We actually have build two lines. I should note that the zoning ordinance allows for mixed use, height and density along Big Beaver. We're not necessarily seeing that though, and I'll get to that in a second. You can construct one-story buildings in some areas along Big Beaver, provided there's no parking in front of the building. We also adopted design guidelines. These are adopted both by the Downtown Development Authority and City Council. These help to guide developers with applications. And now we'll look at some projects. This is the same intersection. As we all know, the gas station at the northwest corner has been replaced with a Starbucks. This is a big deal. I heard some cheering in the background. I don't get the ovations that the guy with, this is a photograph of the Starbucks on a sunny day. You've all seen it. There's people outside dining. This has a strong relationship with Crooks and Big Beaver. It helps, although it doesn't have the height we're looking for, it does have that relationship with the building close to the street. This was the first compliant building constructed after the Big Beaver corridor study was adopted. It was a consent judgment. It wasn't developed under the code, but it was following the Big Beaver corridor study. This is what we see mostly these days along Big Beaver is one-story retail. This is the Galleria of Troy. It's located on the other side of I-75 on the north side of Big Beaver. Some of the elements that you see here are high quality architectural design, and most importantly, we see a very attractive and inviting public space. And some of the elements you see here are public benches, trash receptacles, bike rack, landscape beds, landscaping, pedestrian scale lighting, a place that people want to sit, they want to eat, they want to hang out, and they want to walk to. Behind the Galleria, we're seeing hotel development. One of the hotel projects is almost constructed. It's an indicator that things are the economy's transforming. We're seeing more hotel development. We're also seeing more residential. This isn't on Big Beaver, it's near Big Beaver. It's located at Town Center and Livernois Road. It's 46 units, it's 4 stories tall plus a mezzanine. This is going to provide housing options for all different types of people. We're seeing more, we're getting more interest in residential development near Big Beaver. This is another example. This is at Kilmer Road, just off of Big Beaver. There's 16 units here. These are a townhome brownstone type project. Again, more housing options. And why this is important is these people are looking for places to walk to, places to spend money. So as more residential is constructed on and close to Big Beaver, there's more opportunity and more people walking on Big Beaver. It helps to create more of a 24-hour place. We've also got the DMC Children's Hospital just to the east of us here on Big Beaver. This is a 3-story, 65,000 square foot hospital. This is important because it's got the massing and it's got exciting architectural design. It's also doctors, nurses, administrators, et cetera, who work here. They're going to be looking for places to live, and they're going to be looking for opportunities to walk down Big Beaver and support Big Beaver businesses, spending money at restaurants and retail uses. Which brings us to Move Across Troy and the Big Beaver Symposium. Recognizing all these things that are going on, there was also a recognition that it was difficult to cross Big Beaver mid-block as well as walk under I-75. So this effort looked at ways to improve that situation by making it easier to walk across Big Beaver and to move along Big Beaver. And we'll be seeing improvements in the near future. So looking at 2015 and beyond, as I indicated, the Planning Commission has determined that the Big Beaver corridor study is relevant. We continue to see development activity along Big Beaver. It's mostly the one-story variety with very few exceptions. So the goals of the Big Beaver Corridor Study, which are mixed use, height, and density, really are not being met by this development. So the Planning Commission asked 2 questions. Why are we not achieving these goals? And what else can the city do to assist in achieving these goals? And they recommended that we discuss these questions with the development community. So we had a discussion with some representatives of the development community last Thursday on the 19th. Here's a list of participants. To the left are members of the development community. There are 2 representatives of banking institutions, Flagstar and Talmer. They're both headquartered in Troy. 2 representatives of the broker community from Core Partners, a developer, and an architect, as well as staff. And we had a lengthy discussion, very involved. It was very informative and helpful. We came away with a list of takeaways, and just to briefly describe those, there are 7. The first is to identify specific areas along Big Beaver Road and focus our efforts. And this is consistent with the Big Beaver Corridor Study, which talks about the concept of districting and pulsing of activity. Secondly, identify city strengths and establish the city brand. 3, consider some form of transit or shuttle along Big Beaver. 4, the city and the development community need to recognize that there's an increase in construction costs as buildings go higher. It's around the 5-story point, depending on the types of use, but the higher the building, the more it costs on a per square foot basis to construct. We heard loud and clear from the banks that there's difficulty in financing mixed-use developments. 6, there was a general support in the discussion that we could spend some efforts identifying and recruiting a big fish mixed-use developer as an anchor, and the small fish would follow, kind of copycat. And finally, we need to identify city incentives to encourage mixed use, and these can be in the form of infrastructure, land, or demolition. And this is the final slide. In terms of next steps, we're going to present the findings of the discussion we had Thursday with the Planning Commission at tomorrow night's meeting. And in the future, we look to schedule a joint meeting with the Planning Commission and City Council after the budget process is finished. And I can answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Brent. Any questions for Brent this evening?
Good job.
Good job.
Thank you.
Look forward to the meeting.
Excellent. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. There are no carryover items this evening, so next is public hearings. We have 1 public hearing this evening. E1 is a liquor violation hearing for H Mart Troy LLC, DBA H Mart, with a presentation by Julie Dufresne, the Assistant City Attorney. I will open the public hearing and turn it over to you, Julie. Good evening.
Thank you, Mayor Slater. Good evening. Good evening, members of council. As Mayor Slater said, for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Julie Quinlan Dufresne, one of the Assistant City Attorneys for the City of Troy. Unfortunately, I don't have a cool video or a fancy PowerPoint presentation, so forgive me.
Yeah, just use the mic. Yeah, thank you.
Better? I'm sorry. I am charged this evening with presenting liquor violation hearings. It's my understanding we're not actually going to have a hearing. Instead, the alleged violators are going to be acknowledging the violation. In this case, it's a sale to a minor. These were the Directed Patrol Unit for the Police Department conducted compliance checks in March of 2014. In that instance, they entered H Mart, which is a business located here in Troy. The minor decoy, the alleged facts are the minor decoy did enter the market, selected a bottle of beer, presented it to the cashier, and he was able to buy that bottle of beer. The cashier, his name was Myung Sun Pak. He was issued a civil infraction. He did accept responsibility in court for that infraction. And the officers, as they are required to report this violation to the Michigan Liquor Control Commission, which they did. It is my understanding that at the MLCC, the owner of H Mart did acknowledge the violation. MLCC ordered them to pay a fine of $600 within 45 days. It's my understanding that that fine was paid timely. This is the first violation for H Mart. They've only been licensed since April 23rd of 2013. But given that it is their first violation, we are recommending renewal of their license. Today, H Mart is represented by Michael Szymanski. He is their attorney, and he also has some representatives of H Mart. The store manager is Sung Moon Yoon, and he also has with him an interpreter in case there are any inability to communicate. So if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, Mr. Szymanski has some questions if you have or you could answer questions if you have any questions.
Thank you, Julie. Any questions for the Assistant City Attorney this evening? Probably have a couple questions afterwards. Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, members of council and public officials. Thank you very much for the opportunity to participate in this hearing. As council has already indicated, there's no question about the violation, and we've acknowledged that. Mr. Yoon is the manager of the company, of the store. The store, of course, serves the whole community, but particularly caters to an Oriental community. Mr. Yoon is Korean, and he does have communication problems to some extent, so that Mr. Yoon here is in the capacity to interpret if we need that. Because of the communication problem, I want to represent to the council that I've had extensive discussions with Mr. Yoon and in the presence of the translator, and I would like to again first acknowledge that what the city attorney has said is accurate. Also, I will note that there is an information package attached to this meeting that includes the police report, and we acknowledge the accuracy of the narrative in that package and what happened. I do also want to assure the council on behalf of my client, and this is from what he has told me in our discussions, that they take this matter very seriously. I would even note that we've had, previous presentations earlier tonight about the need to protect and promote the health of our youth, et cetera, and this is an important part of that. We can't be selling them liquor. After discussions with city council, city attorneys, I understand that what we are going to do, and Mr. Yoon has volunteered to comply with this, is to have his cashiers who sell liquor take either the tips or the I can't remember the acronyms, but they're going to, everybody who sells liquor at the cashiers is going to take the liquor training for avoiding this type of situation in the future. I also note for the record that attached to that package that's before the City Council is the history of my client's inspections, which there were no violations, and there was a compliance test a few months earlier that they passed. It's very unfortunate, and Mr. Yoon is very adamant that he will try to make sure that this kind of thing does not happen again. Also, I would like to note for the record that the employee who was guilty of the violation was verbally reprimanded. This store is a close-knit operation. It's not a big operation. There are a number of employees, and there isn't a formal reprimand process or anything like that in place. But after the incident happened, my client did reprimand that person verbally and caution them to be careful, and in addition spoke to all of his other cashiers who sell liquor and said, we've got to be careful about this. Now that I've had contact on his behalf with the city attorneys, we're going to do the formal training program, which will result in a certification, and I think that'll be a very good thing. I think having said that, I will ask if the council has any other questions, and again, if we need some translating, that might be necessary if you would like to ask Mr. Yoon directly. But again, I assure you that everything I've stated, Mr. Yoon understands and agrees with 100%. So thank you very much. Any questions?
Okay, thank you.
Either for me or my client.
Thank you. Any questions from council for the attorney or Mayor Pro Tem Campbell?
How many employees does the store have?
How many total employees work for the store?
23.
23.
And we're only going to train the cashiers and nobody else? Is that the plan, or is everybody going to be trained?
Everybody who sells liquor will be trained, and that is the 3 cashiers. Does anybody else sell liquor sometimes? Okay, oh, there are 2 part-time employees who also may fulfill that function. Will we have them do the training too then? Yes?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So that's 5 people total that will take the training. And those are the people who sell liquor. The other employees, I believe, are stock people and whatnot. You know, only certain of the employees are probably trained and utilized in handling money. Would that be accurate as far as handling sales? Because most of the employees do not handle sales, do they, at the cashier?
Yeah, only cashier.
Okay. And I should also mention that Mr. Young Hugh has personal knowledge of these things too, because he is also an employee at the store.
Thank you.
Any questions from council? Couple questions. Typically, this council likes to see employees that sell to minors to be terminated. And it's strongly encouraged, but certainly we cannot make a company or a business do that, but I would like to see that communicated to them in the future, that they speak to their employees. And if this happens again, I would encourage termination.
I understand that. And now, Mr. Yoon, I hope you understand too that what the mayor is saying is that if this happens again, you need to consider whether you should terminate those employees rather than just reprimand them. Do you understand that? Can you explain to him? So in other words, the council recommends that if a person is guilty of that, they should be fired. That's a pretty heavy penalty, but we want that to at least be considered. Can you explain to Mr. Yoon and ask him if he would be at least willing to consider that type of discipline? What do you think? Okay. That will certainly be strongly considered and probably complied with if it's appropriate, depending on the person.
Okay, my second question is, do they have the technology at their register where they have to put into the system a birth date in order to sell liquor from their business?
I don't know. Do you?
Yeah. We have a system.
Yes, they have that system in their cash registers, apparently.
Obviously, they didn't do that last time.
Not in this incident. I'm sure after the training, and even right now, that will be the case from now on.
Any questions? Any questions for Assistant City Attorney? I think it's important in these cases that somebody reads into the record the resolution, if somebody is willing to do that.
I'm not sure if I have a copy of it or not.
We have a copy of it.
Oh, okay.
Councilman Gottlieb?
I'd be happy to read it if somebody...
No, we need to do that.
Thank you.
But before we do that, this is a public hearing, so I would ask that is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on this item? Please acknowledge. Yes, come forward. Excuse us, Nancy from the coalition.
I just want to say that I know we visited the H-Mart, and there might be a communication barrier, so we are willing to work with them and help them in any way we can to prevent this from happening again. Now, I will give my business card, and then if you wouldn't mind taking that, and call me.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that offer.
I would take that from them. They'll put some stickers and help make sure this doesn't happen again, because we don't want to see them back here again.
Absolutely.
Okay. I will close the public hearing and bring it back to the table for a resolution. Councilman Gottlieb.
Whereas the City of Troy scheduled a hearing as allowed under state law in the City of Troy Ordinances, Chapter 101, and also the liquor license agreement between the licensee and the city to review the following alleged violation. H-Mart LLC DBA H-Mart, address 2963 East Big Beaver, Troy, Michigan 48083. License number SDM 224253-2013 in violation sell to minor compliance test on March 4th, 2014. Whereas after due notice, the licensee was given the opportunity to review the cited infraction and an opportunity to confront witnesses and/or statements of accusers while in the presence of this city council sitting as a hearing body on Monday, March 23, 2015. Now therefore be it resolved that as a result of this hearing, the Troy City Council has been persuaded that the alleged violation did occur as set forth above, and be it further resolved that due to the violation at the licensed establishment, the Troy City Council, after due notice, appropriate hearing and deliberation, recommends renewal of the off-premises liquor license for the 2015 license year, with the stipulation that all serving employees successfully complete a server training program as defined under state law MCL 436.1906 within 90 days of today's date, and that immediately upon completion, licensee shall submit proof of the successful completion of the server training program to the Troy Police Department, and be it further resolved that if the licensee fails to comply with this condition within 120 days, then licensee shall appear before the Troy City Council after due notice, and that the licensee's failure to comply with the server training condition could serve as a basis for the Troy City Council to take adverse action against the licensee liquor license. Be it finally resolved that a certified copy of this resolution shall be sent to the Michigan Liquor Control Commission.
Support.
Well done. Moved by Councilman Gottlieb and supported by Councilman Henderson that we approve E1 as printed and read into the record this evening. Discussion. The vote, Ms. Dixon?
Mayor Slater?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Campbell?
Yes.
Councilmember Gottlieb?
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Councilmember Teets?
Yes.
Motion passes. Good luck and hope that we don't see you here again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, members of the council. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't see that anyone has signed up for public comment for items on the agenda from Troy residents and businesses. There are no postponed items this evening, so we will move to regular business. I-1, there are no mayoral appointments or city council appointments this evening. I-2 is the board and committee nominations. There are no mayoral nominations this evening, but there is one city council nomination. I will turn the podium over to Mayor Pro Tem Campbell.
Thank you, Mayor. We have one nomination tonight. It's for the Historic District Commission, and it will be for a term expiring 3/1/2018. And I'm putting up the name of Paula Torrico for that position.
Support.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Campbell and supported by Councilman Pennington that we nominate Paula Tellerico for the term that expires 3/1/2018 to the Historic District Commission. Discussion. The vote, Ms. Dixon?
Mayor Pro Tem Campbell?
Yes.
Councilmember Gottlieb?
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Councilmember Teets?
Yes.
Mayor Slater?
Yes. Motion passes. There is no request for closed session this evening, so we will move to the consent agenda. Is there anyone on council that wishes to remove an item from the consent agenda this evening? I will note that there was a yellow copy placed on council's desk this evening that answered questions regarding consent agenda items. Councilwoman Hoderick.
I move that all items on the consent agenda be approved as included in the agenda.
Moved by Councilwoman Hoderick and supported by Mayor Pro Tem Campbell that we approve all items on the consent agenda as printed in the packet this evening. Discussion. The vote, Ms. Dixon?
Councilmember Gottlieb?
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Councilmember Teets?
Yes.
Mayor Slater?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Campbell?
Yes.
Motion passes. If you were here on a consent agenda item this evening, they've all been approved. Next are memorandums and future council agenda items. There are none submitted this evening. So we will move to public comment for items not on the agenda from Troy residents and businesses. And I will call on Sandra Miller, Troy resident.
I think she has left.
Sandra Miller. Apparently she's left for the evening. Next are council referrals. There are none this evening. So we will move to council comments. Any council comments this evening?
Mayor?
Councilman Henderson.
Should we bring up the State of the City address? If you want to talk about that, that'd be good.
Yeah, we can bring it up Wednesday, 2 days from now, on the 25th. We will be presenting the State of the City address. We haven't done it for 2.5 years or so, so I'm looking forward to that. And anyone that wishes to attend, I think you should get your ticket as soon as possible. It's $20, and it will be held at the Somerset Inn at 11 o'clock in the morning, Wednesday the 25th. So I think the cutoff is probably going to be tomorrow. I look forward to it. It's going to be a little different this year. It's not just going to be the mayor standing up and reciting statistics and what we've done. We're going to try to have a little fun on Wednesday. Any other council comments? Next are reports. Any discussion on any of the reports this evening that were in the packet?
Mayor?
Councilwoman Hoderick.
Just wanted to comment on the Troy Police Department 2014 annual report, to draw your attention to it and appreciate really the outstanding department we do have here in the city of Troy. We are blessed. Friday was a swearing in of 3 new officers, bringing our staffing level to the budgeted level, probably not as high as I'd like it to be as we rebalance, but we are at full staff again for the police department. I wanted to take a moment to really thank Lieutenant Gordon and our HR director, Jeanette Menig, for the stellar effort at moving forward those hiring practices while retaining our very vigorous, vigilant background checking. Our hiring process for our police department is just outstanding, and they've protected that while speeding up the process. So I just wanted to take a moment and acknowledge that and appreciate it, and thank them for that great work.
Thank you. Any other comments on the reports in the packet this evening? I don't see that anyone has signed up for comments on items on or not on the agenda from members of the public outside. I see Mr. Peters. I guess I'll call up Mr. Peters. Apparently you didn't sign up, or we didn't get your sign up. We'll catch you next time then. Thank you. There's no closed session this evening, so we are adjourned. Thank you for coming this evening, and if the students need some signatures, please come forward.